everyone. In today's presentation, we shall understand the basics of disability studies. So, for better understanding, I have made a small slide to talk about the learning outcomes of this today's lecture. So, after attending this lecture, we shall be able to differentiate between impairment and disability because these two terms are used quite often as synonyms, but there is a difference between the two terms. So, we shall understand what is the difference between impairment and disability. The second outcome shall be to understand the evolution and development of disability studies as a discourse, because this is a new study, new discourse that has come up in the last few decades. So, when, where, how it all started, and what are the changes that we see in the global north and in the global south. What's in the name? So primarily we see quite often we end up using these terms whenever we are talking about any disabled person, but here we need to understand whether these names should be used or not. I would say no, because these are very derogatory terms that that deny the existence of a disabled person as an individual. So it is now time to think that whether disability is a problem or whether the problem lies in the way normalcy is constituted, because we need to understand what is normal and what is abnormal, what is the idea of the norm, who has created this norm, and why what we call normal is considered as the perfect, and any deviation from that normal is considered to be disabled or abnormal. So why we need to emphasize on the ableist cultural repertoire, why we have to focus only on the perfect physical features and consider them to be normal. Now, as I said, the first learning outcome is to understand the difference between impairment and disability. So, as you can see, impairment is something which is very biological. It is something related to the individual's biology. Whereas when we talk about disability, it is not biological. It is a socio-cultural construct. Now, how? If suppose I do not have limbs, then I am impaired by limbs. But if suppose the place I am working there, it is well equipped with wheelchairs, it is well equipped with infrastructure, disabled friendly infrastructure, so I won't feel disabled. So to understand that disability is like gender, that is a social construct, whereas impairment is like sex, which is biological. Impairment can be the deficit of body, it can be deficit of mind, that is, it is something physical that limits you physically. Whereas disability, if everything is available, then a person won't feel disabled, but it is actually because society is constructed, society's mindset is constructed in such a way that the disabled feels oppressed, excluded. So, when we are talking about the evolution of disability discourse, we need to understand that over the period, the approaches have changed. Initially, we had this charity model that talked about that the disabled person is paying for the karma of the past life, and one should do charity, one should have a sympathetic approach to them so as to, if not cure them, but at least earn good points for us. Then came the medical model, that is, every disability was considered to be cured by medical treatment. And in medical model, they never considered that society disables, society's norms or ideology or approach or attitude is something that disables the person. Later, in the last few decades of the 20th century, we started talking about the social model of disability. That was also called the big idea in the UK, and Michael Oliver is one of the pioneers of social model, wherein he puts the focus of disability on the society, that it is the society that actually disables. Now these days we talk about systems model approach. That is, uh, there should be a kind of amalgamation of the medical model and the social model. Neither of the two models can work in isolation. So it is time to change. It is time how from medicalized or charitable model we have started talking about human rights. That is, disabled people are human enough, and their rights are to be kept intact. And nowadays when we talk about disability politics, it is how they are raising their voice, they are asserting their self to for their human rights. Now we should not talk about people as disabled, but people with disability. If you see this new nomenclature, people with disability, people with visual impairment, that is, we are giving the importance to the person first as an individual and not on to his or her disability. So this is another change that has come in the discourse. Now from we have moved from the negative associations, that is, a person lacks something, a person is deficit on something. Rather, from lack or limitation, we have started talking about difference. So a disabled person is not lacking something, but he or she is different from the able bodied. Further, we see that how the disabled people across the world, they have started organizing themselves. Initially it were the non-disabled people who were talking about the disabled, they were writing about the disabled, but now we see a major change. It is now the disabled have come together, they are organizing, and the actually the motto is nothing about us without us. So an equal participation is required. You cannot frame policies, you cannot have any discussion without involving the disabled. So this is the slogan that with which they live by, and this is a major change that has come about. Initially we had organizations for disabled people, as I said that the non-disabled people were forming the organizations, but now we have organizations of disabled and by disabled. So this is a major change thanks to the social model of disability discourse that has created these changes in the approach. So to summarize, in this session we have learnt about the words that are commonly used or rather misused for the disabled, and we also understood the various models of disability discourse, and also the changes that have been brought in towards persons with disability. So thank you very much.